have my doubts about removing the support material. Hello, welcome back to 3 Delirium. My name is AJ once again, and with our 3 test prints out of the way with the included PLA filament that came with the machine, I figured it's time to move on to the spool of filament that I already had, which is recycled PETG. I've already loaded it into my filament sensor, and it's my machine is warmed up, preheated, and let's give it a try to see what happens. I have loaded on a file for some miniature bases for tabletop roleplay games. So let's see if we can just print one of the most simple things I can find at the moment. Let's see what happens. Wikipedia calls PLA, or polylactic acid, a renewable thermoplastic, which means that it's created from naturally occurring resources like corn and cassava or sugarcane, and turned into a plastic that is able to be heated up, reshaped, and cooled down into its new form. In contrast to PETG, which is also polyethylene terephthalate with added glycol, another commonly used plastic for 3D printing. PET is already a very widely used plastic. You'd find it in things from water bottles and food containers at the supermarket to polyester clothing like a pullover or a sweatshirt, which makes it a prime candidate to be recycled into printing material. Essentially, what I'm printing is a flat disc, so there shouldn't be too many issues. I shouldn't need any support material. PLA is more commonly used as a 3D printing filament because with its lower melting temperature, it has greater detail in the models and is much easier to work with. But it is more affected by temperature as well, so therefore if you make a model and leave it in your warm car or leave it in the sun, it could very easily melt, whereas PETG has a higher melting point and is a little bit more elastic, so it has a bit of a give, making it a bit stronger than PLA. Excellent. So now that our first PETG test print has worked pretty well, pretty simple print at that, I guess now we can move on to an even more difficult print, I guess. This is a figurine that I found on Thingiverse from the maker Thatevilone. I would definitely check out his Thingiverse and Patreon. Makes some pretty good quality work. I really hope I can try it on here as well. So we'll try it without a base, but with lots of support material, and we'll go from there. The biggest problem with trying to print figurines on this kind of 3D printer is that it takes so much detail and there are so many overhangs that it requires a lot of support material, as you can see here. And the more support material, the more likely to lose definition. All things considered, it turned out pretty well. I did break off his leg and his gun, but that's alright. I have super glue. Let me put it back on. I still hold that I preferred working with PLA over the PETG. I have a few things else I want to try out, but until then, I'll see you next time here on 3 Delirium, where we can all hallucinate about the possibilities of 3D printing. can find the links to the Wikipedia pages where I found the information on the filament down in the description below, alongside a link to the Thingiverse page for Thatevilone, the creator whom I got the files from for these figurines. Definitely worth a look if you're into printing.